Hello, I'm Marcus, and in this video I will talk about total mixed rations, cow grouping, ration specs, and lead factors, milk lead factors. For the calculations I'll use a special extension library. Let me show you. This is the extension library, that one. It contains all the necessary equations or sets of equations we normally use in Greece for ruminant nutrition. It embeds those equations directly into the spreadsheet in the form of callable functions like average or standard deviations, etc. Okay, it makes my life a lot easier. I don't have to enter again and again the same equations. And I will be using the German nutritional value system of net energy of lactation for ruminants. Before I go on, a definition, and I quote: milk lead factors are multiplicative coefficients to the average milk production of a group of cows for diet formulation purposes. Now, who created them? When were they created? How are they calculated? And do we really need to use them today? Well, this is the original publication, Lead Factors for Total Mixed Ration Formulation by Stallings and McGilliard, back in 1984, published in the Journal of Dairy Science. And this is the formula of their calculation. A milk lead factor for a group of cows is the average milk production of the group plus one standard deviation over the average milk production of the same group, or alternatively it's the 83rd percentile milk production of the group over the average milk production of that group. Those two formulas should yield the exact same result if the data in our dataset follows the normal distribution, and this is very important. What are the considerations today? First of all, the application of milk lead factors today is oversimplified. We normally use lead factors based on the number of the groups of the animals, but if someone reads the original publication, will find out that those two scientists calculated lead factors not just based on the number of the groups, but also taking into consideration the distribution of the animals between those groups. Something simply we don't do today. We overlook that part. In small datasets, the data don't usually follow the normal distribution, and those two scientists used tens of thousands of milk recordings to calculate the lead factors, not just the data of a single enterprise. It's common sense to understand that there is no generic constant coefficient that can work for every possible calculation scenario. What does this mean? It means that there is no magical constant number we multiply the average value of a dataset with and take back as a result the sum of the average value of that dataset plus one standard deviation. Moreover, the lead factors were calculated using milk production data of another time, back in 1984, and as a result they work well if the range of the milk production of a group of animals is close to the one used for their original calculation. This is also common sense to understand, I believe. Now it's easy to grasp that the milk lead factors were created as a substitute for actual statistics like standard deviation and percentile. Why? Why do we need a substitute? We can calculate, we have the dataset, we need to calculate the average value anyway, so why not calculate the standard deviation and percentile for our own data ourselves? Well, I keep showing you the date. We are back at 1984. Back then, people used to do calculations using handheld calculators with only the four basic operations of arithmetic, and they had to work with those calculators to formulate rations, diets. How on earth would they do that if they had to concern themselves with complicated statistics like standard deviations and percentiles? The computers back then were not as widespread or as powerful or as cheap as they are today. The DOS version, for example, at that time, I'm talking about 83, between 83 and 85, was the MS-DOS version was version 2. I believe now that you begin to understand that milk-late factors is an anachronism and should be abandoned. We have much more powerful tools today to you at our disposal, and we don't need some values calculated for another time in order to formulate our rations. Okay. Okay, now let's go on with a calculation example. In order to do that, we need data, of course, like milk recordings and weight measurements, at least a single weight measurement per cow at the age of calving, at the time of calving. This way we will be able to calculate the individual energy and nutrient requirements of all the animals in the enterprise. You will agree with me that the superpower of the spreadsheet program is the copy-paste operation. With copy-paste, what can be calculated for one animal can be calculated without much effort for 100, 1,000 or even 10,000 animals. And that's why I believe that callable functions make the difference here. This is the reason I wrote the extension library in the first place, because working for a single animal using a spreadsheet, in my opinion, is counterproductive. As I said, we need weight measurements and at least a single weight measurement for every cow at the time of calving. But we also need a way to infer the weight of the cow at the day of the milk recording. For this purpose, the cover function can prove to be very useful. The cover function calculates the live weight of a dairy cow for a specific day of lactation. The required variables are the cow live weight at parity, at calving, the total loss of body weight due to mobilization of body reserves in the first part of the lactation, the nadir day, the day the minimum live weight of the cow is observed, and the average live weight, daily live weight change for growing animals, first and second lactation cows. For example, if our first lactation cows, the weight at calving of our first lactation cows is 550 kilograms, and the weight, the same weight for the second lactation cows is 630 kilograms. We can calculate the average daily live weight changed for growth. You see the calculation here is this weight minus the starting weight divided by 365 days. Okay, 0.22 kilograms per day. The same way we can do the calculation for second lactation cows, and for the third lactation cows and greater. And the greater lactations, we don't use a live weight growth rate. Now, this is the growth curve, the weight curve for the first lactation cows. we can use this data for in order to draw the curve for the second lactation cows. Let's put here 630. Body reserves, let's say 55 kilograms, the same nadir day, and 0.11 kilograms per day growth. This is the curve for the second lactation cows, and let's do the same for the third lactation cows. Let's do 60 here, 60, 60 and 0. That's the curve for the third parity cows, the third lactation cows, and greater lactations. Okay, that's the Corber function. Okay, now let's move quickly to the actual calculation example. The source of the data is this website. It's a demo herd. The data can be downloaded freely. The file has the identification number of the cow, the lactation number, day in milk, milk production, fat and protein content of the milk. Of course, there are missing data here, like live weight change, and so on. I used default values for this. Okay, the current live weight of the cow at the day of lactation was calculated with the Corber function. If the day in milk is greater than 365, then 365 is used instead. There is a cow that actually this happens, that cow, and I also marked another cow, this one, because of its milk production. I did something bad here, so let's reload the file. Yes, let's go back there. I marked another cow because of its milk production and fat and protein content. Okay, now of course I wasn't pointing at the correct cell at the time, that's why the mistake happened. Now let's calculate the dry matter and energy requirements for all animals in the database, in the dataset. Insert functions. The extension is available, but it comes as a part of a book I wrote in Greek about ruminant nutrition and the calculations of nutrition, but it's in Greek. It's not of interest at this moment. Let's insert the function cowdm. Let's use this function. Okay, live weight, the current live weight, the milk, fat and protein, and this is the estimate of the dry matter requirements. Okay, let's do the same. Cow null. There are functions for net energy of lactation, dry matter, protein, minerals, and so on. Okay, but for this presentation we will just use dry matter net energy of lactation to keep things simple. Here, live weight change, this one. Yes, correctly. Milk fat, milk protein, and day is pregnant. Of course I don't have this now, I shall just use 0. The housing factor is the percentage of the increase of energy requirements of maintenance for the housing conditions. Okay, just 5%. This is the outcome, and of course I need the ratio of those two numbers, energy and dry matter. Okay, let's format the results. No. Okay, and without much effort we can copy paste the outcome here. Now assume we have one group of all the animals are grouped in a single group, and we'd like to calculate the specifications of the TMR. Let's calculate the average of this column just for let's copy the range. Okay, again minimum, the same range, maximum, the same range. Okay, this is the maximum value, the minimum value, the standard deviation, of the same range, average value plus one standard deviation. This is the 83rd percentile. Let's calculate the percentile for this alpha. And that's the energy content of the TMR for the 83rd percentile. 5.54 megajoules of net energy of lactation per kilogram of dry matter. We can do, of course, the same thing. If we need to group the cows in more groups than one, let's say let's implement a simple grouping scheme based on the energy content of the diet data. I'm not telling you how to group your animals. Group them any way you feel comfortable, but I'm just showing you a way to do the calculations. Sort the last column, ascending. Okay, let's assume that, of course, these are the same values, nothing has changed there, and let's up to 7. This is the first group. Oh, no, it's a small group. Let's up to 7.5. This is our this is the first group. So for this first group, the energy content of the ration will be percentile come on, okay, 0.83, and we could use a lower value. Anyway, it's just a demonstration, as I told you. This group. Okay, 7.7. I think that those cows with energy content for the ration greater than 730 could be moved. 7.3 can be moved to the second group. but that's a decision for the nutritionist. Now the presentation is almost completed. Of course, what we have done with the energy content of the diet, we can do with protein, with minerals, and so on. The conclusions now. As I said, and in my opinion, and I hope I have convinced you that lead factors is an anachronism. At least stop using the default values of the bibliography. Just calculate your own. It's best to use percentiles over standard deviation. Not just because of the normal distribution thing, but because it gives you a lot more control. For instance, if you think that 83% is big and you want to lower this percentage, let's say 80%, you know exactly, but that by using the value from the percentile, that 80% of your animals meet their requirements. You have control on the percentage. But if you decide to use standard deviation and say I don't want the average plus one standard deviation, but 0.9 standard deviations, you have no control about without of course doing even more calculations on how on the percentage of your animals that meet their requirements. You have control by using the percentile, or even 785. I know now that 85% of my cows will meet their energy requirements if the TMR energy content is 7.54 megajoules of net energy of lactation. As I said, if you use lead factors, calculate the ones for your own dataset, not just some generic values in the literature. This concludes the demonstration. Thank you for watching.